Hello everyone. Today we will have a discussion, a kind of informal discussion with Madeleine Taylor, our Dean and faculty member of WSDA New Zealand. So we are gonna talk on personal leadership today. So shall we start?
Absolutely.
Okay. So most of the organization, they focus on how to lead others, and we have the WSDA program. On that we are focusing on personal leadership or the self leadership. So I would like to request you just tell something on about, or just give a brief on about the self leadership.
So when we're thinking about leading others, we cannot really do that effectively unless we look to leading ourselves, because the reality is there's only one person that you can change their behaviour directly, and that is yourself. So a big part of being able to be competent and to be good at leadership, whether it's in groups or of organisations or within your family, first we need to think about how I'm managing myself and how I can personally lead myself.
Oh, great. So the thing is if I want to change, the action must be taken by myself.
Yes.
And it's not like that anyone will come and lead me. Initiative should be taken by myself.
Absolutely.
So I would like to know how it's important and why people need to learn this thing.
Again, because if we're wanting to have good outcomes, often what we do is we blame other people for behaving badly, or for not listening, or for not taking on our advice, or for doing any number of other things that stop us being able to achieve our goal. And we often forget about thinking about how we have contributed, often really unconsciously. We're not aware of what it is that we're doing. And so in our training, we help people to really think deeply about how I am impacting on the other person's ability to talk with me. So say, for example, I go to make a phone call, and I'm a bit worried about this call. And just before the other person picks up the phone, I take a big, deep breath. I go, and what the person on the other end of the phone hears is my big sigh.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, without even knowing it, we have set up a challenging situation for them.
Exactly.
So that is why we need to think more carefully about how I can lead myself into managing conversations with others.
Yeah, that's great. So already we know from you that why it's important. So I would like to know for our audience that how they can improve these skills, and what are those skills?
Sure. So I think one of the things about our modern world is that we spend less and less time talking face to face with our families, with our colleagues, in organisations and learning institutions. And so the things that people used to learn many years ago, we are beginning to lose. So our ability to work digitally is absolutely magnificent, but our ability to work face to face or in verbal communication and managing our own selves is decreasing. So in New Zealand, you may not know this, but our levels of anxiety and our levels of suicide are really high. And we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We do have disparities, but we are still a pretty well-off country. How come that is? And so that's helping us to understand what it is about the way that we think about the world, and that's about personal leadership. So there are three things that are key to this.
Exactly.
One of them is optimism. The next one is thinking about stress management or resilience.
Yes.
And the last one I'm going to talk about today is about changing habits.
Yes.
So those are 3 out of 6 key aspects to personal leadership that I think will help us to manage our world in a different way.
Exactly. So already we know that the 3 skills. First one is the optimism, then the stress management, and finally the changing habits. So by these 3 habits we can develop our personal leadership. So I would like to now discuss just a tips on those skills, like how one can develop optimism.
Okay. So the top tip for developing optimism is to notice the way that you're thinking. And if you notice yourself beating yourself up, for example, I might go to do a piece of work, or I might be invited to do a presentation, speak to you today. And in my head, I have this little voice going, oh, you're useless. Oh, you're terrible. You should be doing this. You're not pretty enough. You're too old. A whole lot of stories going on in my head. If I need to be optimistic, I have to say to that part of myself, hey, out of here. You need to go away because you're undermining my ability to be strong and confident. And a lot of the time, we don't recognize that we have a voice in our head beating ourselves up. And if that was your best friend, you'd say, don't want you in my life anymore. So notice the way you tell yourself about what's happening in the world and change that to think in a much more optimistic way.
Okay.
And it's possible.
Wow, that's great. So like one need to be optimistic in their life and need to be more strong and confident and need to change, need to think in his way that yes, I can do that.
Noticing what you're thinking. That's the tip. Notice what you're thinking.
What you're thinking, yeah. So now I would like to request you to just give one tips on the stress management.
Okay. So a key part of being resilient and managing stress is to recognize that you are. And one of the ways of doing this is to name the feeling, the emotion that you have. So being able to understand how we're feeling and how that is in our life is important. There is a really interesting a resource by a man called Paul Ekman, and he has developed what he calls the Atlas of Emotions, and you can go to his website and explore that, and it will help you to describe the emotions that you have got going on inside of you, and when we can name those, we are more likely to be able to do something with those uncomfortable feelings. That's my top tip, noticing our emotion.
Noticing our emotion. So like from here we came to know that like we have to on an average everyone had going through the stress. So whatever the situation, we have to name our emotion and noticing that thing. So final tips will be on the changing habit. So please share something from here.
So one of the first things that we have to decide when we want to change a habit is actually, do we really want to? Because sometimes we say, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to be better at whatever the thing is, going out, getting more sleep, going to bed earlier, being kinder to people. But actually, do we really? And often we trick ourselves. So the key tip for thinking about changing your habit is to make sure that you really want to change it. And so I would suggest that you write it down and ask yourself some questions. What would happen if you didn't change? Who's been telling you that you should change? Do you really want to change? And if you decide that it's not actually your change, it's somebody else's change, then think seriously about that before you waste your time, because you won't change your habit.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So the thing is, like, if I want to change myself, then first I have to take the decision, like really I want to change, and the changes will come after I change my habit. So again, the last interview we told about the writing the thing. So here Madeleine again mentioned the thing, if really you want to change yourself, first you have to write it down, that why you want to change and what are the benefit will come after you changing. Otherwise it will, like we always say that, yeah, like if it's a student or something, from this semester I will change and I will study hard, but actually we don't do, because we don't
really want to.
Yeah.
That's right. So make the choice and you can do it.
Okay, Madeleine, it was a really good discussion on the self-leadership. So I think the audience will be benefited from here. And like the tips you gave on the optimism and that stage management and changing habit, those will be really helpful for the audience. So thank you so much for giving us the time.
It's a pleasure, and I am really looking forward to running some more workshops for WSDA, Work Skills Development Academy of New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we will be again in Bangladesh soon with new participants and with this topic. Thank you so much.